Yo, what's good? Top of the Top, episode 217, Stash House Podcast. Your boy Tyler checking in. First time listeners, thank y'all for tuning in. If you tune in weekly, salute. And it's just an episode, so some topics you may want to hear about. Salute to you as well. Podcast available on all streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Anywhere you listen or watch podcasts, you will find Stash House Podcast available. Thank you for tuning in once again, putting your people on, sharing it, retweeting, leaving comments, reviews, feedback, all that good stuff. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. We're going to jump in this week with some more new music. First, we got Curren, Harry Fraud, VICES project. At first, like I said last week, I didn't know if it's going to be a project or just a song. Thankfully, it's a project. 9 records. We got Benny the Butcher featured, Jim Jones, Larry June, GT, Streets, plus some more guys. Overall, this is my lane, Curren, Harry Fraud. I'm biased, so the music, I enjoy it, but I want to talk more about just the chemistry between Curren and Harry Fraud. You got one guy from New Orleans, another guy from New York, and when they come together, they just make this Miami Vice sound that I greatly, greatly enjoy for the past decade, really, because Cigarette Boats came out in 2012. We're in 2013 now. I want to say they probably did maybe 5, maybe 6 projects, I want to say, together. I'm not sure is my number correct. 4, 5, or 6 projects together, and they've all been in this Miami Vice, Cigarette Boats, just the Scarface vibe that when I first heard Cigarette Boats, it just clicked. Cigarette Boats only 5 songs, so it just clicked. And since then, going to this VICES project, Harry Fraud production, it stays in that lane, and I definitely enjoy it. If I want to just give you guys some records real quick to check out, Black Point Boat Launch, Marcus Camby featuring Jim Jones, one of my favorites, Stingray featuring Benny, and Marble Columns featuring Larry June, some records I definitely recommend you guys checking out. But going back to Curren and Harry Fraud, just this lifestyle rap that they are 2 pioneers of, in my opinion. You got Curren, who's probably the blueprint for any independent artist, coming from No Limit, going to Young Money, leaving Young Money, wanting to do his own thing. Those early years of Fly Society, eventually turning to Jet Life, which he's been Jet Life now for maybe a decade at this point. So just seeing his journey through mixtapes and albums and YouTube videos and different interviews, he's definitely one of the pioneers of the lifestyle rap, the blog era, people like to call it. And Harry Fraud just being one of those producers in the game who cater to a certain artist. I've known him for working with Curren, of course, but then doing my research, it's like, oh, he was cool with French Montana. Well, he's still cool with French Montana and Max B. So that whole wavy vibe that Max B and French Montana had going on, Harry Fraud was behind the scenes working with that as well. And just odd that Curren is also a fan of Max B, just, you know what I'm saying, knowing him as an artist. So this collaboration is one of those collaborations where if I see it, whether it's one song, a mixtape, or a full project, I'm running to it. I'm biased with it. But yeah, just going back to Spitter, just being consistent and making a killing off this lifestyle rap. He always said, yo, you see my journey, whether it's flossing or what, but you know where I came from. You know me and Wiz was sharing Chinese meals when we was making High Fly. And fast forward, seeing where they at now in their career. And it just building great relationships, maintaining relationships. I'm going to talk about Alchemist Project in a minute. He's a part of that. We see Griselda that came into the fold, Larry June, of course. And it's just showing you Curren is the perfect example. Made mixtape, transitioning now to the streaming era that we in. He don't stay on the road like he used to, but he has shows consistently, and he can pop out with a tour any given moment. And we see that in the DNA of Larry June, merchandise selling. We see that lifestyle rap has been one of my favorite genres in terms of hip-hop for a long time now. Definitely those early years, those 2008s, to maybe 2013 era or the blog era, one of my favorite eras. I remember it. I lived through it. And it's just dope. And it's dope. And like I said, seeing Curren being basically the OG in the game, you see his DNA spread it out through Primo Rice, Jay Worthy, Larry June, different guys in that lane. So I just got to salute Curren and Harry Fraud for what they continue to do and will continue to do. I don't see neither of them slowing down at any given moment. And I love it. I love it. Y'all know how I feel about Curren and Harry Fraud and VICES, this project, 9 records. If you haven't, check it out. Go back, check out the Regatta Project, the Marina, definitely Cigarette Boats, the Stage. Man, they got a catalog. Those two together, they got a catalog. So shout out to Harry Fraud and Spitter. And once again, Alchemist, he dropped off a project, 4 records, 8 if you want to include the instrumentals, called Flying High. We got some features as well on there. We got Earl Sweatshirt, Bodie James, Larry June, Jay Worthy. I just really like the fact that the people I rock with in music, for the most part, they rock with each other. We having little situations here and there, but for the most part, I guess how it is with the mainstream, like if Future, somebody drop a project and we see the features, we like, okay, those the people we expect to see. It's the same way in the underground. It's the same exact way. It just, the underground sound is what I prefer most of the time. But this Alchemist project, it's the typical 4, I'm going to throw something out real quick, some crazy production. I'm going to put some faces on there that you recognize. Then I'm going to bring some guys that you might not be too familiar with and put them on there as well, and one of them may catch your eye. I said that a couple episodes ago with my mid-year special when I talked about Navy Blue. He was on the Alchemist project. He piqued my interest, and I saw that album. I'm like, that's the guy from the Alchemist project. Just throwing layups for your people. Hey, man, you can rap. I'm going to throw this out real quick. Whoever it's supposed to connect with, trust me, it's going to connect with. You just do your best, and, you may get a little buzz off of it. So salute the Alchemist. If you haven't already, check out that project, Flying High. Also in music, Terrence Martin dropped off a project called Fine Tune. Some features, Alex Isley, Robert Glasper, James Fauntleroy. A fact about James Fauntleroy, over the weekend, I was watching Tank and Jay Valentine podcast, R&B Money podcast, and they had James Fauntleroy on there because he's a name who I always seen throughout the years, and a lot of records I enjoy he had his hands in, but I never really heard a full interview to this extent and where he's comfortable. It's Tank, Jay Valentine, it's R&B talk, and it's a very, very great interview. James Fauntleroy on R&B Money podcast, so check that out. But yeah, Terrence Martin, great jazz, great R&B, some great wake-up music, definitely. So if you haven't, check out that Terrence Martin Fine Tune project. Less, Bigger in Texas. This is a project I was waiting on. He finally dropped it off last week. Solid project. Definitely something to ride to. Les, he's also cut from that cloth of lifestyle rap, just seeing the journey. And he's in Texas, so he giving you the Houston perspective on things. He real cool with Slim Thug. I think Slim Thug low-key like narrating this project because Bigger in Texas. So he got a lot of Texas guys on there. Definitely check it out. When you want to take a good cruise or something, get you to point A to point B. Less, Bigger in Texas. Also, we got VICES. VICES out of Detroit, the Ganger Project, 21 records. I listened to it in parts over the weekend, and I told my boy AJ, we was out kicking it over the weekend. I said, VICES is low-key like the Detroit scene that's going on. VICES is low-key like they ODB in a way. It's like, bruh, you see the potential. This is his first project, full-length project, I'll say. And I say that because Babyface Ray been dropping, Vezo been dropping, what's my guy, Peasy been dropping. Like, everybody from that Detroit scene been dropping, but VICES is the one, you just see him on different features. He got his own videos and everything on YouTube, but you like, man, when the full project coming out? And this the full project, and he got some heat on there. What I like about it, and I'm talking about this with Lil Uzi project, what I like about this VICES project is 21 songs. VICES is not the guy, I'm just going to press play and let 21 songs play. It's like, dang, VICES. It's a little bit too much, but he put the hard stuff at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Okay, if you're going to make me sit through 21 songs, at least let me make it halfway through with some fire. Very unorthodox rapping style, but the production is amazing. I like that as well. That's how you know somebody has potential when you rapping and you like, okay, clearly rap isn't your first, you know what I'm saying, your first outlet to get things done, but you know at least, okay, if I'm not going to say too much compelling stuff, let me at least make sure the production is there so the listener will still want to listen to me. So that what V's really got me with this project. The production is what made me continue to go to the next song, then the next song. And if you know V's rapping style, it's unorthodox, but he'll throw a line or two in there, and you'll be like, okay, you know, I can see the potential there. It just, bruh, just don't be focused on music like that. So that's what it is with V's. But this Ganger project, 21 songs, at least give it a half listen. Trust me, because I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but the production side of things, I really can't complain about in terms of V's. And like I said, it started with heat. Now let's go to this Lil Uzi project, Lil Uzi the Pink Tape. 26 records. Features, we got Travis Scott, Nicki Minaj, Bring Me the Horizon, and Baby Metal. I just got to come out and say it, with this Lil Uzi project, the sound just wasn't for me. For one, 26 songs was a lot. So then I was like, well, 26. Let me see how much Eternal Take was. Eternal Take came out in 2020. Eternal Take had 18 songs. And the difference was Eternal Take, I personally enjoyed that sound better than Pink Tape. Now you can say it's Lil Uzi, Tyler, it's the same thing. For some reason, it just, when it's come to this generation, not just generation, but this era that we in now, a Lil Uzi, it's like either sonically it's going to be a compelling or it's not. It's like I'm not listening to Lil Uzi for the lyrics at all. I'm just listening for sonically, how does it sound? And Eternal Take, the original and the deluxe did that for me, but this Pink Tape, it was just kind of going backwards for Lil Uzi in my opinion. I know that's crazy because it's Lil Uzi, but I mean, I'm just talking music. He kind of went backwards. Like this, a lot of things I like listened to on this project, it just didn't move the needle for me, none for Lil Uzi. I'm sure it's going to affect who the consumer is supposed to be, but me personally, this was the one time I was like, well, damn, like Uzi, after all these years, I mean, he had the I Want to Rock song. Of course, that was big, but in terms of projects, Uzi will give you a good project. It just, for me personally, this Pink Tape, it wasn't doing it for me. It wasn't doing it, too many different sounds, and he just felt like he just wanted to throw it out. Like I said, 26 songs, that's a lot of songs for a Lil Uzi project, in my opinion. It's not too many people I'm going to listen to 26 songs from, let alone at all, definitely not one listen. It's a very, very few people who I see 26 songs on the project. I'm like, yes. Nah, that's not the case. And Lil Uzi, I mean, like I said, it's going to hit the people it's supposed to hit, but for me personally, nah, the sound, it just wasn't for me. It was kind of going backwards because I really did like Eternal Take and the deluxe of that, but, you know, it is what it is. But if you haven't already, check out the new Lil Uzi project, the Pink Tape. Also, like I said before, Currency, Harry Fraud, Vices, Terrence Martin, Fine Tune, Les, Bigger in Texas, and yeah, V's Ganger project along with this Lil Uzi, the Pink Tape. Now to wrap things up, I'm going to recap Money in the Bank, the WWE event that took place Saturday in London. Overall, solid event in my opinion. Overall, I'm definitely looking forward to this road to SummerSlam. Now, there's a lot of things that I can be honest. And then they had this whole thing with Twitter going on where you don't see as many tweets and everything. So I can admit, on the road to Money in the Bank, I didn't see too many spoilers or too many news. I think the last one I saw was Dominic and Cody was supposed to main event Money in the Bank. But overall, I've shied away from spoilers for the most part, and I'm continuing to do the same thing. Like, it was fun heading into like WrestleMania stuff, seeing different scenarios. But now with everything that took place at Money in the Bank, I really just want to be like shocked in a way. I know it's hard in today's world with the dirt sheets and everything, but I prefer just watching and seeing what happens. Because when you see the dirt sheets and all that, it kind of tampers with it. But now with everything that took place at Money in the Bank, I'm definitely looking forward to see where things goes for SummerSlam. So let's get to it. First, the men's Money in the Bank match. Damian Priest won. I'm not upset. That leaves the door wide open now for Judgment Day storylines. I think this is the perfect time for a Judgment Day, a good storyline for Judgment Day, I'll say. You had this whole thing with Finn and Seth, with Damian coming out. The Cody and Dominic situation seemed to be over with, so now maybe they can do a Rhea, Dom, Finn, and Damian Judgment Day. Like, will it be anything going on inside Judgment Day? Rhea, the only champion at the time, but plans for her have really flopped since WrestleMania, so a lot of things they can do now with this Judgment Day storyline. LA Knight did get a huge pop. I want to say he was the last guy on the ladder with Damian Priest before Damian Priest took the briefcase. So LA Knight, maybe that's a sign of things to come with him. I'm not upset that he didn't win, but he did get a huge pop in London. Logan Paul and Ricochet, they had a spot that ended up better than what it could have been. Like, it was, I won't call it a botch, but it just, the placement of the ladder with the ring apron, and Ricochet seemed to be thinking on the spot with his move on Logan Paul onto the tables. The tables nowadays are a lot more put together than they were back in the day, so one table broke, the other one didn't. It was just a very, very awkward spot that really ended better than it could have, because Logan Paul, that neck was very, very close to landing in an awkward position, but it seemed everything turned out for the best in those situations. A lot of momentum spots as well. Overall, it was a great Money in the Bank match. I felt like, for the most part, when it comes to, like, big spots, they were trying to save them for Logan Paul, which I understand. Like I said last week, I felt Ricochet and Logan Paul were going to have some big spots, but I felt like you could have let Nakamura do a couple more things. Escobar had a couple great spots. Butch, Pete Dunne had some spots as well, but for the gigantic, off the ladder to the ring ropes with Ricochet, I think that was supposed to be like the big, big spot. But overall, I enjoyed the match. The women's tag match, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez won that. Like I said, I feel like these women's tag team belts will be Hot Pocket situation. What happened was Shayna Baszler turned on Ronda Rousey. Now I guess Shayna is face because the fans just don't really care for Ronda Rousey too much. But she kind of betrayed her for no reason. I don't see the purpose of it. Like I said, why would you unify the belts when you could have just had the women's NXT champions face off against the main roster women's tag team champions? And that just could have been, a great push for the NXT women's division rather than just taking their belts and unifying them. But like I said, Liv, she came back from injury. Her and Raquel got the belts back that they never won. We'll see where this women's tag team division go in the future. Next match, Gunther defeated Matt Riddle. At the end of that match, Drew McIntyre returned. He's been out since probably WrestleMania, so he got a huge pop. It was great to see him return, and it's looking like they're going to go with the Drew McIntyre versus Gunther storyline, maybe heading into SummerSlam. We'll see about that. I'm not mad at it. That's going to be a great match. Then we had John Cena, a surprise return from John Cena. He cut a promo in London. It was more on the side of, hey, WrestleMania needs to come to London, because the crowd was very amped up the entire show, for better or worse, because that's the thing now with when fans try to quote-unquote take over the show, meaning during the match they can just be chanting random songs or doing random cheers. You can see it on the referee's face and the wrestler's face. They just looking around like, what y'all talking about? So I understand what people saying, like, it kind of takes away from the in-ring, but I mean, it's their first, I didn't even know this, it was the first quote-unquote pay-per-view premium live event in London in almost 20 years. They've had Raw or SmackDown, but in terms of pay-per-view, it's been almost 20 years. So that's what, 2003? Yeah, so one of those pay-per-views. So I didn't even know that. So I can understand why they was going so crazy, but I wasn't mad at it. I love when the crowd is hype. I'll take a hype crowd like that over a dead one any day, definitely in terms of wrestling. So they was amped up for that. Then the new guy, I guess he came from NXT, Grayson Waller. He came out. Him and John Cena had a segment. I feel like that segment did run a little bit too long. I guess they're trying to get some heat on Grayson Waller because all he's been doing is this little talk show. But I guess they're trying to get some heat on him. But in my opinion, that segment did run a little bit too long just for Cena to do I call it the FU still, but he did the attitude adjustment. It ran a little bit too long, though. Next match, we got the women's Money in the Bank match. Io Sky, as I predicted, won that match. Very, very creative way she won it. She handcuffed Becky Lynch and Bayley underneath the ladder. Overall, it was a great match. Looking to see where this damage control storyline goes because Dakota Kai is hurt right now, and she's going to be out for a while, so I can see them possibly splitting up damage control now that Io Sky has the briefcase, so we'll see where things go with that. Cody defeated Dominic. That was pretty much a standard match. Overall, I mean, Brock Lesnar didn't come out, so, I mean, it was just a regular Cody versus Dominic match. We'll see what they do with Cody heading to SummerSlam. Seth Rollins defeated Finn Balor. Like I said earlier, Damian Priest came out where it seemed like Finn Balor had Seth Rollins right where he wanted him, and Damian Priest just stood up and acted like he was going to the ring to cash in, and Finn looked over. Just a quick, interruption, and Seth Rollins was able to take advantage. I didn't really like the ending because Damian Priest was ringside for a while, and as soon as Finn's about to hit his finisher, he wanted to stand up, and then Finn looked over. I felt like it could have been executed a little bit better if you want to have the distraction affect the outcome of the match, but it is what it is. Seth Rollins won, and like I said before, we'll see where things goes with the Judgment Day storyline. And the main event, the Usos defeated Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. They had Jey Uso pin Roman Reigns, the first time Roman Reigns been pinned since 2019. I want to say the number exactly was like 1,294 days, something like that. It was close to 1,300 days since the last time Roman Reigns was pinned. That's huge. Definitely a shocker for a lot of people. I said it last week, though. I wonder if they're going to have Roman get pinned by one of the Usos. And a lot of people have been saying, hey, it wouldn't be a bad thing to have Jey Uso pin Roman Reigns because that's technically where the storyline of the bloodline started with Roman and Jey Uso back in 2020. So now it opens the gate. Now we know Roman can be defeated, which, I mean, of course we know he can be defeated. He was defeated before this title reign, but it's just the look of it now. It's like, okay, we know he can be defeated, and most importantly, we know he can be pinned. So where the bloodline storyline goes now, we can see if Jay gets that opportunity. We can see if things turn with Roman and Solo. Jimmy's still in the mix. So overall, once again, they're doing a great job with this bloodline storyline. We know Roman can be defeated now. We'll see where things go. Overall, I'm excited for SummerSlam. Overall, AEW as well after Forbidden Door, the Collision. Matter of fact, my whole Saturday, because Money in the Bank came on at 3 o'clock. After that, I had just went home because I was watching the Money in the Bank with my boy Zoe and Price with the fellas. So I went home after that. 8 o'clock come around, AEW Collision. I watched that. That go off at 10. Then at 10, ESPN and Top Rank Boxing had their boxing match card from 10 to like midnight. So my Saturday was pretty chill overall. So once again, this has been episode 217, Stash House Podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in. Go out, have a great work week. Stay hydrated, especially if you're down here in the South. Around my area, we've been hitting 95, 98 degrees, so make sure you guys stay hydrated. If you're going to the pool, I don't blame you. If you're going on vacation, stay safe. If you're going on a group trip, stay with your people. If you're going solo, be aware of your surroundings. Be safe. Eat good. Enjoy yourselves. Be mindful of y'all surroundings. Like I always say, keep me in your prayers. I'll do the same for y'all. Salute.